Look, I'm going to be always honest with you, okay? I told you yesterday, I'll never compromise my personal integrity just to wear a cheerleader's skirt. I am voting for Trump, and you should vote for Trump, and no one should consider even voting for Harris and Biden. I can't say it any more clearly than that. It is the battle for the future of America. It is the battle for the kind of country you and I grew up in that we want our children to grow up in. There's no equivocating on my part on that. But I also would hope that if I can articulate positions as to how Trump can get better, I would hope that there are people of influence high up in Republican county politics, state politics, who listen to this show. They tell me they do, who can communicate to the Trump campaign, look, you need to get better on this. He needs to get better on this. He needs to focus. He needs to get specific rather than speaking in generalities. And he needs to know how to thrust and parry with people who clearly, it's not a surprise. He goes on the dais at a society of black journalists, and is he surprised he was not greeted warmly? I mean, I hope not. I hope he knew. I hope he was ready for battle. And these questions, they're totally predictable. You know you're going to get asked the question about, is Kamala Harris a DEI hire? And the response to that is to quote from what Joe Biden himself said about Kamala Harris when he appointed her as his vice president and when he crowed about the diversity in his administration, because he said it starts at the top. Here it is. To me, this is on whitehouse.gov stationery. A statement from Joe Biden. To me, the values of diversity, equity, and inclusion are literally, and this is not kidding, the core strengths of America. That is why I'm proud to have the most diverse administration in history that taps into the full talents of our country. And it starts at the top with the vice president. This was not the CNN debate where you weren't allowed to go out there with notes in your hand to read from, pull it out of your breast pocket and go, I'm glad you asked me about that. I know that you and many other journalists, Rachel Scott, are trying to use this as a sledgehammer on Republicans who say that Kamala Harris is a DEI hire. But let me read to you what Joe Biden said after he appointed Kamala Harris vice president of the United States. Is that how Donald Trump answered the question? Of course not.
Sir, do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
She was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She is always identified as a black woman. She went to a historically black college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't.
Clumsily phrased, not incorrect, but clumsily phrased. You can't say, what are they going to focus on? What two words in that response are they going to focus on? And you're going to hear ad nauseum from here on out. What are you going to hear? Turned black. That's what you're going to hear. That's not how you say it. You say, she has, in interviews when she was running for president, repeatedly stressed her Indian heritage, her Asian heritage. Now, in order to curry favor with a voting bloc that is responding to my presidency and how I served them as president, with the highest black employment rate in history, with the greatest gains in black family wealth in history, she is trying to paint me as a racist and curry favor by treading on an aspect of her ethnicity that she never emphasized before. That is how you answer the question. That is, does he have advisors who know how to prepare him on this stuff? I would hope so. Does he listen to them? Apparently not. Because if so, he would answer questions a whole lot better. That's not the only time he flubbed yesterday. Are you surprised he got a question about pardoning January 6 protesters? Is that a shock? What odds would you have set? He's going to walk out there on stage and they're going to say, January 6th, insurrection. You got to have a better answer for that than this.
What's going to happen to those people? What's going to happen to the people in Portland that destroyed
But sir, my
that
question
city?
is on those.
What's going to happen to
my
the people
question is
that
on
tried
those
to burn
rioters who assaulted officers.
You have to
Would you pardon
what's
those
going to
people?
happen? Oh, absolutely, I would.
You
If
would
they're
pardon
innocent,
those?
If they're innocent, I would pardon them.
They've been convicted.
And by the way, the Supreme Court just under.
All right. He's not wrong to say, if they're innocent, the January 6 protesters, I'm going to pardon them. But you get to that point by saying, the difference between me and the Biden administration is that I tell the truth and that I apply justice equally under the law. The January 6 protesters who destroyed property and who committed actual crimes for which we can make a judgment based upon the videotape that we have of that day should serve whatever criminal sentence is appropriate for their crimes. What I have an issue with is that protesters in the aftermath of George Floyd's death were given a total pass, just like protesters now who destroyed property on college campuses during Hamas protests are being given a total pass. That is not equal justice under the law. That is not justice is blind. That is the issue that I have. There's a way to say it that completely disarms the left. And then there is a way to say it where you on the right can defend it, but they're never going to give you the time to defend it. You shouldn't have to do that. He should do that. That is a talent. That is a skill. That is something that is incumbent upon the nominee of a party if they really want to win the presidency. And you know you are going to be facing not just Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, but the combined power of academia and the media and every other influencer out there. You have to be ready to fight that battle, and you have to be equipped and able to fight that battle. Here's more of Trump's response to that question.
Well, they were convicted by a very tough system. How come the people that tried to burn down Minneapolis, how come the people that took over a large percentage of Seattle, how come nothing happened to them?
That's great.
But sir, we're talking about people that were seen beating officers with flagpoles, dragging them down the stairs. They're on video. Have you seen that video, sir?
Really? Well,
you would pardon those rioters?
They shot a young lady in the face who was protesting. They shot her in the face. You know, nobody died that day. You do know that. But people died in Seattle. Nobody died, but people died in Minneapolis. You know, people died in Minneapolis.
Some of that's good. Some of it's clumsy. Some of it's just not full bore. That's like a 65% answer. They shot a woman in the face. Her name was Ashley Babbitt. She was this. She was a mom. She was a daughter. She was this. She was there because she supported me. And then you come back and say, they shot her in the face. And then you say, and nobody died that day? No, not nobody died that day. No police officers died that day. You on the left keep saying 5 police officers, 8 police officers. What? You're wrong. You're not reporting it. Rachel Scott at ABC News, is accuracy important to you? Then why is it not important to you to report accurately the events of January 6th? Prosecute the case. The facts are